well, dude, this guy wanted to get in contact with Sean Ryan, so let me get this to Sean Ryan, see if I can get with him. And I had a buddy who knew your producer, and we went from there. But
wow. You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the U.S. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operation Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they use the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBID. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive VBID. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a VBID was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word VBID. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a VBID, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a VBID is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive VBID. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Sean's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow. Yeah. You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest with you, it is a fancy term you're going to find in science fiction. You won't find it in any, as far as I know, you won't find this in any kind of official manual or, scientific research. This is all science fiction. So, but what struck me is his use, what strikes me now, not then, but what strikes me now is his use of a very specific term that nobody else call it. If you asked me, I would say an anti-gravity propulsion system. That's how I would describe it because I don't know this stuff. He said gravitic propulsion system.
We looked that up last night too. Could find it was same thing, science fiction type stuff. But, there are some things that line up. One is, like I'd mentioned, well, let's talk about the guy's story. Obviously, he had a VBID. Obviously, he was in the military and served. And the thing that he was talking about in 2019, we pulled a report This is from October 9th, 2019. UN report find alleged drug facilities were not lawful target airstrikes caused significant civilian casualties. The United Nations Special Report, which examines the impact on civilians of the United States airstrikes on alleged drug processing facilities on 5 May 2019 in Afghanistan, determines the operation caused a large number of civilian casualties. The report also examines the legal framework applicable to this incident. In June 2019, the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, together with representatives of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, conducted a site visit to areas impacted by the strikes in Farah Province, Bakwa District, as part of its extensive fact-finding into the 5 May incident. The UN verified 39 civilian casualties, among them 14 children, 1 woman, from multiple airstrikes on more than 60 sites that the United States Afghanistan identified as drug production facilities in Bakwa District and in parts of neighboring Delaram District of Nimraz Province. Moreover, the UN is working to verify credible reports of at least 37 additional civilian casualties, the majority of whom were women and children. Although airstrikes on the alleged drug processing facilities had taken place before, this was the first time that UNAMA had received reports of large number of civilian casualties resulting from such an operation. And it goes on. I'm not going to read all this. We'll link the article here. But so that 100% lines up. The other thing, that really struck me is, like I had mentioned, after our phone call, jumped in an interview. After the interview, checked my phone, and I had several Green Berets, former Green Berets, one still active. Actually, I'm just going to say it was Tim Kennedy sent me a message late last night about 9 p.m. and said, hey, I should have brought my phone up here, but hey, basically that USASOC wants to give me more context on what had happened on this guy. And so first I wasn't going to take the call because I don't trust the government anymore. I don't think anybody does. But I was on the phone with my producer, who was a naval surface warfare officer, and my attorney, Tim Parlatore. They said we should talk to him. So I called Tim, was really pissed off, reamed his ass about it, and then later apologized. But, I think you had mentioned that you had received a message from somebody that says nobody's heard of this guy. Tim sent me a picture of him shooting with this guy. And I don't know if I should release that photo or not, but Tim basically told me this. So I got the POA's number, the public affairs officer, sent it to Jeremy and Tim. He talked to them. And what they wanted us to know was that this guy was an upstanding soldier, an excellent operator, was moving on, was moving towards retirement and moving on to basically enhance the future of warfare. They wanted us to know that. Then the PA officer, sounds like almost jokingly said, which I don't know why you would joke about this, said that, and between us, which why the fuck would a POA officer say between us? I mean, if they didn't want us to know that information, then they just wouldn't have told us that. But they wanted us to know, obviously, that the DNA with his supposed child was not a match. And so I think what they were trying to do is basically make this out to be, this is why this happened. He got bad news that that's not his child, and so that's why he did it. But with all the other context, especially with the 2019 incident, which was obviously a cover-up, I think that has a major role in this. The other thing is I started receiving a lot of messages from one of the redacted names, who's a DEA agent, the one that he's talking about in the email to you. We got it from multiple sources, one of which was actually a videographer for me, I think 4 years ago. He worked for me a very short period of time. I had to let him go. He joined the Army, went to OCS, became an Army officer, sent me a text, super freaked out. Apparently he was on some rafting trip with somebody that knows the DEA officer and said, hey, this guy's still operational. He wants his name redacted.
Wow.
Not the only one. Then I received a message from another very close friend of mine who's been on the show several times saying that he got word that this guy was still operational. And so that's why we decided to redact his name. I was getting upset because I didn't receive any communication up to that point. Well, then I checked my LinkedIn. I said, let me see if this guy actually messaged me. Sure as shit, that DEA agent did message me, said that he wanted to talk to me before tomorrow's interview It was really important.
Wow.
We tried to contact him, not from my phone. I'm not calling any of these people, but from somebody else's phone. He didn't pick up, and we weren't going to send any text thread to show any communication between us any more than the LinkedIn message. And I didn't hit him on LinkedIn. So that also 100% checks out. Now, the weird thing is anonymous as this guy wants to remain, if I remember correctly, he posted something about the Green Beret that set the bomb off.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that was his latest post. Well, Jeremy, what was it? What did the post?
It was just a report of the story.
It was just a report of the story. So very interesting how all this stuff is lining up. What do you think?
I told the guys downstairs, you know, I jokingly said this to my wife the day that I got that email, because I read the email to her. You all have heard the email now. You realize without context of who this person is, how just crazy it sounds. And I told her, I said, well, I mean, I guess if the dude ends up getting rolled up by the feds or he gets killed, we got a story, huh? Man, famous last words, right?
Yeah.
That's so I looked at, and I want to give context on one of the things. I saw this going around on social media. People were saying that his Signal chat, his safety number changed. I don't know if you saw this on X, but it was all over X. Apparently his safety number on Signal changed. He messaged me on Signal. So I went on there to look myself to see if it changed. And sure enough, it had. On January 1st, after the bombing, after he was dead, his safety number changed. That's all he sent me. He said initial contact, and I gave a thumbs up, and his safety number changed at the bottom.
Look at that.
That's after he's dead. I don't know enough about Signal to know why that would happen. Somebody has to have manipulated that, though, and messed with it. Somebody had to have been in his account after the fact and done something for that to have changed.
What did the FBI say when you contacted him?
Not a lot. I gave him the story on what went down. Was very over the top, telling them, hey, I am being transparent in every way. Feel free to contact me at any time. This is my address, my name. This is why he contacted me. This is my social media page. This is any reason why this could have happened, why this got dumped on me. This is the information. They took it. They were gracious. They were nice to talk to. Mind you, I had to explain what a VBID was, which was disheartening because you're the FBI, but that's another issue altogether. But nothing beyond that. They said, thank you. And we'll be in touch if we have any further questions.
Well, they definitely got in touch with CID.
Yeah, they did.
Because that went all the way to the top of the Army. And, I'm going to dig in a little bit more on this report from 2019. However, according to international humanitarian law, including international customary law, facilities that contribute economically or financially to the war effort or of a party to a conflict are considered civilian objectives. The report jointly produced by UNAMA and the UN Human Rights Office concludes that the drug facilities associated with workers may not be lawfully made the target of attack and should be protected. The United Nations maintains that considering these objectives and individuals legitimate targets dangerously erode the fundamental principle of distinction, placing the broader civilian population and infrastructure at risk. The report sets out a number of recommendations, including that the appropriate and legal response to illicit drug activity is through law enforcement, not military operations that endanger civilians.
Well, and here's the thing. We want to know why the DOD is scrambling on this, why the FBI pushed this to them so quickly, to CID all the way up to the very top. These are very, very serious allegations.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like UN level opening an investigation type stuff into alleged war crimes. This is no joke.
It did happen.
The ripple effect is going to be massive on this.
It did happen. I think we should take a quick break. I want to scrape our email to see if this Green Beret, what's his name again?
Matt Livelsberg.
Let's see.
Burger. Okay.
Let's see if Matthew Livelsberger sent us an email through our website. From the break, we did do a scrape of the email. Here is what we got. He actually did email us. This came in on December 29th, 2024 at 10:17 p.m. Emailed through the support desk on SeanRyanShow.com. And by the way, all these emails will be posted on my X account, SeanRyan762, and your X account,
Samosaur.
All right, here's the message traffic. Hey man, this is an active duty SFTM sergeant out of 10th. I want to blow the whistle on our activities in a certain place. I'm willing to sit down with you on the 31st in Flagstaff or do it remotely via phone. Must be done before the 31st as I'll be leaving. So we'll be sending this to the FBI as well. Love your contact. I'm also gonna hit some people I know over there, but I just, these people don't always talk. So I think it'd be good to keep some continuity here. But So we did receive an email. What was this guy's? You deleted the message.
The burner account on there, I did. He told me to delete it, and I did. It's a common practice. People get spooked and they want to delete it, so I do it for them.
Yeah, I was going to throw that up there, but there's tens of thousands of messages in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very obvious why he did this, I think. He wanted to bring attention to the incident in 2019 that got covered up. Do you have any insight, any theories on this?
So we had a running theory downstairs. I've seen all of the conspiracies. I've seen all the questions about, all right, this guy is 20-year Special Forces. He just got done with Team Sergeant time. He is a very qualified and very capable Green Beret. Everybody I've spoken to who knew the guy prior, yesterday I spoke to several people, to include his old team leader, who's now Lieutenant Colonel. Said he was fine, nothing out of place. His mental state was not something that anybody was concerned about. His ex-girlfriend posted photos of him bragging about how he got a Tesla and all this other stuff. So stick with me here. Very capable guy, but he loads the Tesla up. A Tesla, which Elon Musk brags about being bulletproof, right? So this is one of his selling points. It's bulletproof. We even saw Joe Rogan shoot an arrow at it and wasn't able to puncture this thing. So he loads up a Tesla knowing that it's going to, not explode like he wants it to with fireworks and a bunch of other junk, when he can make a car bomb that's going to level this place. Here's what I think. So the PAO, the Army PAO, is saying that the body inside the cab did not match the DNA of his child. All right. We also know that there was they said he was shot by a Desert Eagle. We know that there was no signature when it rolled up. So nobody shot themselves when it rolled up to it. You would have seen a large signature. Mr. Guns and Gear, he's on X. He goes into this a lot in depth. He's a firearms expert, and he talks about this, and there's no signature. So this is what happens. You get a Tesla because you know it can drive itself up to the hotel, the Trump Tower. You put a body in it, roll it up. It's already burned up, or it's already shot, excuse me. You don't want to kill anybody because that's not the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to level the tower or kill a bunch of people. So you load it up with fireworks and a bunch of junk to send a message. And we know that his signal number, or his signal safety number, changed. That can't be done unless you're inside that Signal account. And a lot of people conjecture, was the FBI inside his Signal account, whatever else. But what if he accidentally changed his safety number, goofed up there? He rolled a body up in a Tesla, specifically because a Tesla can drive itself up to the tower, and did what he did to send a message to expose his stuff. And he's still alive out there somewhere.
Well, the other thing is maybe the FBI wasn't in his phone. Maybe, I mean, this guy's obviously very competent. I mean, he's got a TSSCI clearance with the polygraph. He's been associated with USASOC. Obviously, he was on this operation in 2019. By the way, the general in charge of that was General Miller. You'll see that in the email that we post on X later after this interview comes out. Maybe he changed his number on purpose and switched phones because he obviously was tipped off or conducted his own counter surveillance and caught Homeland or FBI tracking him. And so I think there's a very good possibility that that Matthew Livelsberger might be still alive.
It checks, as far as I can tell, it checks all the blocks.
The Desert Eagle, the Desert Eagle, I mean, yeah, a little over the top firearm. But if you think about it, if he was going to kill himself, or whoever was in that car was going to kill themselves, look, if I was going to commit suicide with a firearm, I would go with the biggest possible caliber of bullet that I could, to make sure that it actually worked, because I wouldn't want to be sitting there choking all over myself with a fucking 9mm or something.
True.
So that is, as far as I know, a 50 caliber Desert Eagle is the biggest handgun caliber that you can get. And so that could play into this as well. But
there's a lot going on.
Was there something in that email again that said that this would prevent World War III with the UAP?
Well, he didn't say it would prevent World War III, but he was asking that. He said you need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war, because this is a mutually assured destruction situation.
I wonder what he's trying to do with these. What he's trying to tell us with these drones.
I hesitate to even get into this realm because I have no expertise in drones, or just call it alien technology, UFO technology, whatever's going on here. But here's one thing that I talked about with the guys downstairs earlier. Several weeks ago, I don't know if you saw that video. It was a New Jersey sheriff or chief of police, I can't remember which, but he flew their own department drone up to try to figure out what was going on. So we had all these drone issues that were being cited off of New Jersey and everything. And what he commented on video was how fast these things were. He said, we have a pretty robust drone, and they flew it up there to try to catch these drones that were there, and they just, bam, they were gone. He said there was no catching them.